What's going on, awesome people? Welcome back to another episode of Awesome People. My name is Iman Hushman. It's great to have you here on a Saturday afternoon. I hope that no matter where you are, you're doing well and you're feeling healthy and that life is good. Life is good for me right now because we're about to have a hilarious guest come on this program. Great guy, hardworking guy, super funny guy. Um, I feel like anybody that has been following me and is in my community, they have to know Neema Naz because he's just been such a great, hilarious entertainer for the Iranian and international community for the past few years. And it's just been a joy to watch Neema grow as a entertainer throughout the last few years. I had him as one of my first podcast guests back on 2020. Back then, he only had a few thousand followers, but I just knew that this guy was special and that he was going to go off and do some amazing things. And I don't even think that he's even scratched the surface yet. I think that the sky is the limit for what Neema can do. And I've just been enjoying having a front row seat, seeing him ascend to a lot of greatness. Having said that, if you don't know Neema Naz, I'll give you a little bio. He is an Iranian Canadian stand-up comedian, actor, and content creator. During the fall of 2014, which I didn't realize that his journey started in 2014, but that's what we're going to talk about how he's been in this game for super long, and he launched his comedy career in Toronto. His inaugural headline stand-up comedy tour in 2022, I'm Your Sugar Daddy, which I watched with my girlfriend last night and was hilarious, welcomed over 5,000 fans from San Francisco to Los Angeles, and many more. And he's also headlined shows in Sydney, Berlin. He actually was an entire year in Australia, which we're going to talk about too. But Sydney, Berlin, and Melbourne. And he's toured and supported several comedy greats, including Russell Peter, Theo Von, Howie Mandel, and the legendary Iranian comedian Maj Jobrani, and many more. His online presence has reached almost 1 billion views across all different platforms. I have a feeling that in some shape or form you've come across one of his short clips. You've been entertained by him. He's made you laugh in some capacity. Let's just get him on here so that he can, tell us a little bit of what he's been up to. So, if Neema, if you don't mind punching that request to join button, we'll get you on this virtual chat. And for anybody here who has not had the pleasure of getting to know Neema yet, you're in for a treat, guys. He's a great dude, and his sleeve as we turn the corner on 2024 and head into 2025, which I'm sure is going to be a big year for him. Put your hands together for Neema Naz. What's up, Neema? Mr.
Had a little
Estupid.
fluff in my beard.
Mr. Estupid, how are you?
Very stupid. Iman Jun. I am very stupid.
Great to see you, man. Happy Saturday.
Likewise. Yeah, good to see you, man. It's been a while.
I was gonna say I'm sorry to bother you on the weekend, but you chose a Saturday, so I guess
Nah,
this,
man. It's okay,
this
man. Every day is a work day for me. I like it.
that's right. And fortunately, and what it seems to me is that you love what you do, and so it makes work a little bit more bearable, right?
100%, 100%. There's no other way I'd be doing anything on a Saturday or
I
even
love
Sunday.
it.
Yeah.
So Nima, if you recall, when I started the Awesome People podcast in 2020, you were like one of the first few people that I had on the podcast. And I remember I reached out to you because, and at the time you only had like a few thousand followers, but I loved the hustle. I loved the sketches. I love the impersonations, but a lot has changed since 2020. And I want to just kind of ask, what do you think was the turning point in you like catapulting your growth?
It was honestly just staying consistent throughout the whole process and having the right people around me. Obviously, my older brother, he manages me, and we've been working together for almost 5 years now at this point. And like you mentioned at the beginning, we did our very first national tour, and even some cities in the States, and that went well. And ever since then, I've just been really working hard on improving my stand up a lot more and putting out better content. You know, making bigger moves like that. So it's just staying consistent throughout the process. Because I'm not the most talented guy, I'm not the funniest guy, I'm not the best looking guy, but as long as you you stick at it and you don't give up, then good things will come your way eventually.
I don't know about talent, man, but you're a very sexy motherfucker, dude. So don't be too humble, okay?
Sexy
Um,
Mexi, thank you very much.
so you mentioned your brother. I think everybody that's followed your content obviously knows how intricately involved your mom is in
Hmm.
your sketches, and just a special relationship that it seems like you and your mom have. But now you said I didn't know that actually your brother manages you. How important, how integral, and perhaps how challenging has it been to have so much support of the family? Because I come from a family that's very supportive and it's got a lot of pros, but also you're working with family, so I'm kind of curious, like, what's your experience been?
It's been great, honestly. It it's it's a blessing and a curse at times, but mostly a blessing, obviously. But it sucks sometimes because you know that person's gonna always keep it real with you, even though you don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
And that's just like the ego. A lot of entrepreneurs or people who work for themselves, they have is like they don't want to hear that constructive criticism. They always want to hear that they're doing amazing and they're so funny and this so that. But then someone like him will be like, you could probably do better than that. You could do this better. That wasn't funny. That didn't really make sense. So those things ultimately help in the long term, obviously. But yeah, in the moment, it's obviously no one really wants to hear those things, but you need that. It's crucial in order to grow. So that's been the
So,
biggest
yeah,
benefit.
so when I was reading your bio, you said that you started 2014. So take me back to like 2012, 13, 14. Was it you telling your family that I want to do this? Was it your family that was saying, Nima, let's support you in this? Like, how much was it like a natural progression of you turning your probably very outgoing personality into a career, versus like literally the whole family was telling you, dude, man, you were born for this. What was it back in 2012, 13, 14?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was always a very stupid guy. But I was decent in school and everything like that. And I don't know, I didn't mind going to classes and math and science and all those things. But I never really had a passion for any of those things until I was in school or in university. And one of my friends, he was like, "Yo, let's go to a comedy show together." And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And that was the moment I fell in love with comedy. And I didn't realize I needed to see that in person in order to realize that I could also do it because I saw these amateurs going on stage, bombing, just eating shit for like 2, 3 minutes straight. But it was exhilarating and liberating watching other people do bad on stage. I know it sounds bad, but in a way, I wanted to do that as well. I was like, oh man, it was almost like it was like a challenge, and I love challenges, and I was like, oh, I think I could do that, So yeah, that was definitely the moment, and when I made the jump, I dropped out of university, and I didn't even tell my parents. At first, they were surprised, but ultimately, they saw how convicted I had, the conviction I had to want to do something like this. That's so grand, and I never took risks in my life until that moment to jump to start a comedy career, and so it meant something extra special for me. And they saw that in me when I told them, and they had no choice but to support it and to pretty much just let me do my thing for once. So, yeah.
And that's incredible to have that type of strong backbone as your family supporting you through this whole process, because I'm sure it's not easy. So to have that support was great. So you kind of
Definitely.
mentioned you kind of mentioned right now that like um, from the very early age or 2014 or so, you went to a comedy show. I actually thought that perhaps like it was through the content you made online that you decided to make the jump, because a lot of people, they fail at that. They think that they're funny, or like maybe the views make them feel that they're funny, but then they go on stage and they're just not prepared for it. Which, not to say that they can't be great at it, but it's a whole different ball game, right? So, but it seems like you, from the very beginning, you thought the stage is where you wanted to be, and then did you kind of have was online the pathway to get you to that stage essentially?
I went into it thinking I'm gonna just do it all. I wanted to do everything, whether it's stand up or sketch or content or acting. Like I just loved it all. I loved the whole umbrella of just comedy, being a comedian, and they both do definitely interchange for sure. They help each other out. Like if I go and do like sketches on camera, it helps me get more comfortable finding my voice for when I'm on stage, and then when I'm on stage when I'm talking to people, I'm doing a little crowd work or I'm expressing my opinions that are funny in front of strangers. It gives me more confidence in real life and acting on camera because like If I can do jokes in front of 100 people and bomb and eat shit, what's a camera gonna do? You know what I'm saying. So it just helped me to get much more comfortable in general from a very early stage by doing everything at the same time. So
What
yeah, that was
what is it that you love the most about comedy?
just the fact that I get to have fun for a living. To be honest, I know it sounds cheesy, but when I was in high school, I was always, I didn't know how to express it, but I was like, why aren't we having more fun? Like, why aren't we, like, sure, you have breaks and you have lunch, but I'm like, why aren't we having like, it sounds dumb, but why don't we have like playtime, like you do in kindergarten, or, you know what I'm saying? Because like when you become an adult, people end up having their hobbies. They play tennis, they go to badminton, they go to the gym. Why can't that just be more pushed throughout high school as well? And so that was one of the main things I always wanted to do as like for the most part of my life, but I didn't know how to make that happen. And even when I was in lectures in school, I was like, ah, this is a drag. Like, this is so boring. Like, why can't we just make it fun? Like, I don't know, can we go on like a excursion or something? Or like, can we all just like play ball for one of the classes instead, and then when I started doing comedy, I'm like, oh, this is exactly what I've been waiting for. This is exactly what I've been needing this whole time. And I just think by having fun on myself, it exudes more joy and happiness into other people because my goal and my purpose is to make other people happy as well by making them laugh, right? So, and I think the world, if anything, at this point, needs it more than ever.
Why do Why do you think that your purpose was to make people laugh? Like, can you kind of trace back to the catalyst of where this need to make other people laugh, or was it just the whole family vibe at home as an early kid, like childhood years, like it was all shukhio mukhio, and so you carried that into school, and you're wondering why, as you got older, it was getting more rigid and more serious instead of like more fun? Can I find out what the catalyst was?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Growing up Persian, right? You know how it is. Like, it's like all jokes. All the babas and the uncles are like laughing at each other, roasting each other, telling these old jokes from back home, and everyone's just having a good time. They're like like literally laughing their ass off, right? At these mehmonis, right? At these family gatherings that we always had. And that was just a part of the culture. And I was like, well, I feel like I'm losing my culture by not laughing as much, by not having as much fun more often. You know what I'm saying? So, especially when you're on the western side of the world, where like there's different backgrounds of people who might not share the same culture as you did, like specifically as being Persian. But I thought, even from a young age, I loved when my parents or their friends or their kids would always kind of look at me to make them laugh. And I guess from the beginning, I loved having the attention. The attention is great. Um, I'm like a girl. I'm like, I just need attention, please, babe. Um, and so I don't know. I loved it. I loved the attention. I loved the spotlight. And I was like 7 and at these family parties, and everyone was like, Nima, Nima, go up and make us laugh. Like I was a clown. And I was like, yeah, no problem. Hell yeah. Like, let's do it. I had no shame. I had confidence from the beginning, to be honest. And that's it. And that was pretty much how I've always just inherently been that way. And I just want to carry that into the real world as an adult and as a profession,
So I know you kind of briefly touched on how, like, you want to integrate like your Persian culture and just how Iranians are, and poke fun at those things. On a more serious side of things, there's been just so much going on from a political and just all the stuff that's happening inside of Iran. How have you been able to like manage to kind of like not address too much of that because it just kind of conflicts with the world of comedy and stuff? Like, how challenging has that been to constantly deal with all the Middle Eastern turmoil, the woman life freedom stuff? And I'm sure you and many comedians, they always get you know um pushed on, talk about this, talk about that. Like, how do you kind of like balance all of that?
Uh, well, first of all, I when I first started doing comedy in general, the purpose of me starting my pages were to just bring joy and laughter to the world. That was my main purpose. I never thought about anything else. I wanted to show the world my strengths and the skills that I have, which is to make people laugh in the way that I know how. And when things like this happen in the world, obviously it's very sad, and it sucks for me as well because I have so much compassion because my parents came from that country, and they had to flee their country at the age I am now just to give me and my brother a good life in Canada, and the fact that I'm even doing this and I'm doing comedy and touring around the world, it's like I'm super grateful for them for that, right? But when these things come up in the news, and people start to talk about it more, the best way I know how to address it or to raise awareness for it is through comedy, and which is still it's still the essence of what I do is to bring bring the laughter, but raise the awareness through the laughter. So actually, a couple of years ago, when the whole woman life freedom thing started, um, I'm not a political person. I don't really know how to express my opinions through those things, but I know how to do it through shows. So we actually did a charity show in our hometown in Richmond Hill in Toronto. And we sold out the show and raised money for a children's girls children's school in Iran, in a city in Iran.
Amazing.
And yeah, and it went well, and we sold it out, and we sent all the money to that village, and they built a new school, and get enough money to give them supplies and all those things. And I feel like that's the best way that we know how to help in those situations.
I love
Is through comedy. So.
Amazing. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a unifying field that you're in. You're able to really bring two different like cultures together and educate and enlighten people about the plight of some cultures as well through laughter and comedy. I get it. So speaking of like touring, you just spent a year in a land down under. So first of all, what made you all of a sudden? Was it a full year? I was watching one of your IG lives yesterday, and I think I didn't realize you were there for a whole year. I thought you were there for like doing shows. But what's up with Australia and you?
Well, it was just 9 months, but it was supposed to be a full year, but we cut it short. But the reason why we went there in the first place was because I wanted to push myself as a stand-up comedian, and force myself to thrive in a foreign environment, like Australia. Like I've never, it's on the other side of the world, right? People have different senses of humor. You have to learn to adapt to their audiences, right? But more importantly, I needed somewhere to practice my new material because I'm working on this new hour that I've been working on for like over a year at this point. Because I will be going on tour very soon. I'm not gonna say when yet, but whoever's watching this, it's coming soon.
Okay.
But it's in the near future, and it's gonna be the best, biggest tour I have, compared to the last one for sure. And yeah, so I just needed to go somewhere else for like 9 months and work on the material, craft it, polish it, work on it. See what I can do to make it better. And yeah, it was definitely, we got exactly what we needed from the country, and explored the whole country, all the different cities, and met new people. And I got so much stage time, the most stage time I've ever gotten in my entire life, because they have fringe festivals in Australia, and so like you could do 6, 7 sets a night for 30 days straight. And there's
Wow.
4 fringe festivals throughout the year. I did all of them, and every night I was just doing like a bunch of sets. And so I did over like 500 sets in the past 9 months of just working on the material. And so
You sharpened your tool.
sharpening the tool, man. So that was the main reason why, is to go and just sharpen the tool. And then now I'm back, and you know, big things will be coming soon. So
What did you miss the most from Canada while being in Australia for 9 months?
my mom's cooking.
I'm sure that Hormuz Sabzi was hitting the spot when you got back.
Oh man, the lubia polo, the kubide, the yeah, the muscle musir, the garlic yogurt. You already know, man.
That's nothing better than Persian mom's cooking.
Nothing
Um,
better, man.
so going back to like this ascent to a much bigger following, which comes with a lot more responsibility. What has been the most unexpected or challenging part of gaining this massive following?
I guess like the hate that comes with it. Um, I've always gotten it even from a young uh, from a small following, and I still think I'm relatively small, but compared to where I was, yeah, like it's definitely increased a lot more. But to be honest, there's a lot more love as well, so you can't count that out. But I'd say that, yeah, one of the most challenging parts is like I guess the pressure or the expectation from people to post better and better content constantly. But ultimately, I just know that if I just stick with my guns and um, I continue to do what I started doing from the beginning. Like it doesn't really matter what my following is and like where I am, because the right people who want to support me and want to laugh and want to watch my videos will always be there. And as it continues to increase, naturally there'll be more hate, but there'll also be more love. But ultimately, you have to just ground yourself in that process and just continue doing what you started doing, and not stray away from who you are. So
Staying as authentic as
that's
possible.
it
Um,
exactly.
so, how much of an influence would you attribute to Gary Vee with the growth? I mean, first of all, I mean, you did such great
Yeah.
imitations of him. I know you implemented his strategies, and then you went and like toured with him, or I know you did some shows. So tell me the whole Gary Vee experience.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. Yeah, there's a lot of perspective, for sure. No, it was great. It was great, man. Honestly, you know, I, that's exactly. I took his philosophy of just take as many shots as possible, because you won't know what works until you try new things. And so that was my philosophy from the beginning. I'm like, all right, let me just try doing this impression or this accent or this joke or this thing, or what I'm saying, like, because I didn't know exactly what was going to hit until I found a little bit of a formula with my characters and doing these impressions of celebrities or whatever. And funny enough, the empire of content, the king of content, Gary Vee himself. Um, I was like, oh, I can kind of like do an impression of him. Let me try it. And then the very first video I posted actually was terrible. Like looking back, I'm like, what the? This sounds nothing like him. But once again, you had to start somewhere in order to get to here, right? And so I just kept taking shots, man. Like for 2 years straight, I just kept doing impressions of, like, every other week I was doing videos of Gary Vee, determined to get his attention. And that's it. I just wanted him to like it and just acknowledge it. I didn't expect anything else from it. 2 years goes by, he finally likes a video, and then he writes blueberries on one of my videos, because that was one of the things I was making,
Yeah,
impersonating him on.
I
And
see.
then he shared the next video on his story, and then
Hmm.
after that, he DM'd me. After 2 years, he DMs me. He's like, "Good job, man. Keep going." And I was like, "What the hell is going on?"
That's amazing.
A few weeks after that, we get an email from his management team to my brother. He's like, "Yo, you're not gonna believe this," and he filmed me so he can get my reaction of this email, and he was reading it out loud. He's like, "Hey, Neema's team. We love Neema's videos. His impressions of Gary Vee has made all of us laugh. Gary Vee is doing his first ever NFT conference in Minnesota this next summer coming up, and we'd love to have Neema come and open for him as Gary Vee."
Yeah,
And the whole
that
festival, I was
sounds
like,
amazing.
"What?" I was like, "What the hell? Are you serious?"
Dude, that
So
was that was a huge stadium. Like that, like 10,000 people. Like how many people was that?
no, yeah, yeah, there was like 5,000 people.
Oh, that's
It
huge.
was a big
Yeah,
stadium, obviously, but they didn't fill up the whole thing. But yeah, there's 5,000 people. It's still a lot,
yeah.
because even before that, when I went on stage there, the biggest crowds I ever performed in front of was like 400 or 500. So that was a
Mm.
huge jump for me. But I don't know, this is a different thing than stand up, obviously. But um, yeah, it was crazy. And so that just goes to show. And also, when I met him, he said, yeah, like I was watching for like a couple of years before I even acknowledged anything. I was like, oh, what the hell? Like, why didn't you tell me before? Right. But then he said that, he didn't want to show me love too early, because then I would have probably stopped. Or maybe he's like, I want to make sure that you're going to keep going and you're still like staying consistent and
Yeah,
working
yeah.
hard at it. And I was like, oh, fuck, I actually appreciate that. And so, yeah, he was playing the long game. So
Well,
it was nice.
he invited you to like their office too, right?
Yeah,
I feel like I remember you kind of giving a tour of the place and stuff, so you got to know the whole Gary Vee media. That must have been very like inspirational. Like, I mean, you're in this world, you can create your own production company, and maybe you even have actually. But did that kind of inspire you from a business and entrepreneur standpoint as well? Just being in the Gary Vee space.
definitely, man. Definitely. Well, I mean, I come from the Gary Vee school of thought in general, just even without the impressions and all the jokes we make. Like my brother and I really actually follow a lot of his philosophies and all of his teachings that he provides because we truly believe in it. And literally, it's the reason why we've gotten where we have so far. Um, Literally, his message just being yourself, being true to yourself, attracting the right people by being as authentic as possible. Like doing what you love, like staying passionate and being real with yourself, posting consistent content, like not worrying so much about the quality, but more the quantity at first, at least, so you can find your voice. Because quality isn't up to you; it's up to the market to decide if it's good or bad, right? But quantity is completely in your control, and that's something that we really took seriously for like 3 years straight. And that's why I feel like I grew the following that I did so far. It's for that reason, and so I have a lot to thank from Gary Vee, but also, yeah, when I went to his offices in New York a few months after the VCon, it was pretty sick because like he's just like a normal guy. He's super busy, but he's a normal guy. Like and he walked in, he's like, "Hey, what's up, everyone?" Whatever. And I was like, "Hey, what's up, Gary?" He's like, "Oh, what's up, man? How you doing?" Dap me up. Goes into his conference room and like does meetings for 3 hours straight, just on the phone constantly. And then like I actually originally wasn't even supposed to see him or meet him, but um, it was like I was filming stuff in his offices because his team was like, yeah, you can film stuff as Gary Vee if you want, like go around like fuck with the employees. I was like, yeah, hell yeah. And like I was like, oh, it would be sick if I actually got Gary in a video, but it ended up not working out because like we had to leave and he was still in meetings. But as we were leaving, I went up to his office and it's all glass, so everyone can see everyone. I was like, yo, see you later, man. Like, see you later, whatever. And then he was on the phone. He was like, one second, one second. So I stood out there for like a minute, and then he came out, like paused his call, came out of his office. He's like, "How you doing, man? How you doing, man?" A little dap. And he's like, "You feeling good? Yeah." And I was like, yeah, I'm good, man. And then whatever, we just had a quick exchange, and then like he's like, "You had fun at VCon?" I was like, "Yeah, it was amazing, man. Thanks so much." And then like we're actually filming that whole interaction, which is cool. But um, he's like, "Yeah, just keep going, and yeah, hopefully we'll see each other again." And I was like, "Yeah, man, I'd love to definitely. We'll see. We'll work again together in the future one day." And that's it. And he's like, "Cool, man. Like, have a good day." Blah blah blah. So yeah, just like even that small interaction, it gives you inspiration. You're like, "Oh man, someone like this doesn't have to talk to someone like me, right?" Like he's a multi millionaire, busiest guy in the world, right? Like knows the biggest names in the world, and he still gives time and day to young, smaller creators like myself at the time too. So, yeah, that's why I have a lot of respect for him. So,
No, for sure. It's very admirable what he does, and he's basically honorary Persian now, being
yeah,
engaged to Mona Vand, or so that's great. She's been
crazy.
amazing too. I had her on the
I know.
podcast.
Oh,
She's
nice.
amazing.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I know Neema too, like her brother.
Her brother,
Yeah,
yeah.
met him there a couple times, and he's super nice guy too. But yeah, man, it's
They're
pretty crazy, eh? Like so funny. Like both our worlds, just like Persian and Gary Vee. Like you can't. It's a win-win.
Oh yeah, no, we need Gary Vee on Team Persian. It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
You learn some stuff from Gary Vee from a business and content entrepreneur standpoint. You've either toured or you supported people like the likes of Russell Peters, Theo Vaughn, Howie Mandel, our good friend Maz Jobrani, and many more. What are some of the things that you've been learning from like the legends of the comedy game? What are the key takeaways that you've been taking as you've been working or opening and collaborating with these artists?
Is honestly is well being more open to working with other people because you need other people in order to grow and to you know do bigger and better things. Like
Mm,
you can't do everything on your own. But also learning how these other comedians perform and why they are who they are and how they got into where they are today. being a student of comedy is always is the best thing you can do, right? It's always a constant reminder that like you're never gonna stop learning. So watching other people, especially in those positions, has been supremely impactful for me because I see myself in them in my future, and it'll just be dumb if you didn't pay attention to what they were doing, like because you can take away these little things from each person too, right?
Yep.
And that's what I've been doing this whole time. Like my stand up now is a result of like many different other comedians I look up to, right? Because you get inspired through that, right? So I think just being a student of comedy is probably the most powerful thing you can do. A student of anything, whether it's business or accounting. I don't know if that makes sense, but just being a student of what you want to do is the best thing you can do because you should never be above learning how to become better in your own craft.
No, for sure. You got to learn from the people who trailblazed before and
Yeah,
take the
yeah,
best parts of what they've learned. So this
definitely.
actually will transition me to the end of the program where we do some rapid fire questions, you know. And the first question that I was going to ask you, which ties into what we are just talking about, who's your biggest comedy inspiration?
Oh well, that, like at the very basic level, I would say obviously Russell Peters. He's always been my comedic
Ca- ca-
inspiration, and
Canadian, yeah.
Canadian, same areas, and back home, same type of background,
I
and
mean, I
he
mean,
was
I mean, you. Sorry to cut you off, but you. It's. I feel like you could say that he was probably the biggest international comedic rock star. Like, if you think about, like 15, 20 years ago, he was filling up Air Canada Center and stuff like that. Was
yeah.
not for maybe I'm wrong. I don't know too much about, but that was he was probably the biggest one at the time.
No, 100%. No, like he was a superstar. Like, and he's still touring arenas around the world based off his name, which is insane. Not many comedians in the world to this day can say they can do that. There's only a handful. So just seeing him on TV, the very first time I ever really watched stand-up comedy, it was him, and it was on that like the viral comedy set that he had that went viral on YouTube. That was like legendary. That paved the way for comedians like myself and hundreds and thousands of other comedians that are ethnic today. Um, and more importantly, he's kind of the reason why my sense of humor is my sense of humor. He almost
Wow.
like curated my sense of humor like ever since because I, all my friends watched that special. My parents, all our family members, we all saw the special, right? And ever since we saw it and it blew up and everyone was reciting his jokes, like all the inside jokes for the next 10, 15 years were just like quoting his jokes
Yep.
and doing different accents and like making fun of each other's accents because like being from Toronto, I have Tamil friends, Indian friends, Chinese, Arab, white, black, Jamaican, what I'm saying? Like the list goes on. And that's the essence of Canada, and that's why it's so special for us back here in Toronto. Russell Peters. So definitely him. And then obviously, I looked up to Amir K a lot too. Amir in the Persian world.
He's a good
Amir
comedian.
K was one of the first guys I saw, and I was like, wow, this guy's hilarious. Like, I aspire to be like him one day. And he's actually the very first person I saw live at
Hmm.
a comedy show. And I went up to, and I also met him. I asked him if he had any advice because I was starting comedy a year after that. And he's like, yeah, man, just get on stage as much as possible. Can't fake the reps. And like I mentioned earlier in this live, how I did so many sets this year. And that's been in my mind this whole time. I just think of Amir. Anytime I want to like slack off or not get stage time, I'm like, nah, man. Amir is right. You can't fake the reps. Let's get on stage and keep pumping it. And then we ended up working together eventually. We're doing some shows together coming up soon too. So it's a full circle moment, man.
No,
Full circle.
I'm Amir is a great dude. We've worked together a bunch of times, and he's actually very underrated still. Yani واقعاً
Very, very,
he is so
so
funny. Like
funny.
it's very hard for him to be outshined by anybody on stage, even the headliners. Like the guy just
100%.
holds his own, and
Crushes.
yeah, he
Like,
really he's a natural. واقعاً,
oh man,
he needs to be a lot
yeah,
bigger. I mean, he's obviously big, right?
he's
There's
getting
like
there.
there's
He's
so
getting
much
there.
potential.
He's getting there. He's deservingly gaining more and more followers, and he
That's
should have millions of followers.
Sad
Millions.
that, no, sad
Yeah.
that. And I'm so glad the two of you. First of all, I just love when Iranians work together, man. Like that's just an
Yeah.
amazing thing. So Damatun Gam for you know having each other's back like that, and also for Omid
Yeah.
Jalali, what a great
Yeah.
collaboration. He's looking out for younger up and
Hmm.
coming. Tell us about Omid Jalali. He's a legend too, you know. So
Yeah. Omi, yeah, Omi also a huge inspiration for me, even when I was younger too, right? But more so not just in the stand-up world, but also in the acting
yeah,
world, because he acted in
sure.
The Mummy, in The Gladiator, and he did the voiceover of a Persian cat in Over the Hedge, that animated movie. And from a young age, I was like, oh wow, like he's Persian and he's doing like he's on movies too. Like that's pretty. I'm Persian, right? Like I could, and I like acting or like doing voices. That's awesome. And so he inspired me in that way for sure, even more than just the stand-up world, just like Russell and Amir did. So even and also my parents are big fans of Omid's more than anyone else too, and the fact that I got to work with him earlier this year was also another huge full circle moment. And it turns out that he's like the best guy, nicest guy, down to earth, wants to help the younger generation.
Amazing.
Just very smart of him to do, very smart. And yeah, we had some great laughs, great content together. We have one more good video coming out this week, and yeah, he's honestly just yeah, he's such an inspiration, and he also deserves to be even bigger as well. But
For sure.
but a lot of people know.
I think the key thing for both of them is they need to leverage social media a little bit more. You know, like
Yeah, yeah,
you figured out the ingredients, the
yeah,
Gary V method. You know,
yeah.
and so they're just they need a stronger social media team.
They're
And
getting there.
you know,
They're getting there. No, they're
yeah,
doing it. They're doing it. Yeah, like because after I filmed with Omid, he's like, "Holy shit! Like, how I got like 3,000 new followers in 2 days." I was like, "Well, yeah, but when the content's good and you put out good stuff, like you never know, right?"
that's
And
it.
that first video we put out has almost 4 million views together, and we
Beautiful,
didn't expect it to get that big, but
beautiful.
but that's the point. Is like you don't know.
Yeah. I love it. I love Iranian comedians work. Like in general, throughout the years, I've just seen a lot of hamkari with a lot of Iranian comedians because there's not that many of you guys. So it's
Yeah,
great to see.
yeah,
It's great. So you guys are a part of a special club, and you have to continue having each other's backs. And it's great to
definitely,
see all that.
definitely.
Okay, so
Yeah.
favorite city to perform in,
Oh man. Um, Is it based off my experience, like of a one-time thing, or just in general?
whatever you want to say. It's like the city that you can't wait to go back and perform again in front
Oh,
of
okay,
like 3,000 people.
okay. So obviously, because Toronto is my home, I love performing in my own city, Toronto. Toronto is obviously amazing, but
But
San Francisco is
oh,
the most fun I've ever had on stage
how
to this
come?
day. It was just a beautiful night. The last time I was in San Francisco doing my own tour, it was at Cobb's Comedy Club. It was a Wednesday night and packed room. It was like 300 people. I'm so grateful that people came out. And like, it was just like the laughs were like something else I haven't experienced. And that was my first time really doing my own show in US. And I realized how different the comedy culture is in the US compared to anywhere
Can
else.
you
So
can you elaborate?
well, I feel like, especially coming from Australia now, I was there all year. I really have a perspective of most of the major places in the world of comedy. And I realized Australia, first of all, is some of the hardest audience audiences I've ever experienced in my life. Like it's like pulling teeth trying to get people to laugh. On the contrary, you go to US, people want to laugh. Like they're ready to laugh. They're expecting to laugh out loud,
Yeah,
moving around. They're like loud. They're slapping their knees. You know what I'm saying? They're clapping. Right? They're into it. Right? That's the culture because there is a comedy culture in the US.
yeah,
Right? I always make this example in Australia or Canada even. Typically you go on the street and you ask the average person how many comedy shows they've been in this year. They'll be like, once maybe. It was just like through a friend or like some corporate event. We got invited, right? Like, or some people are like, wait, there's comedy shows. Like, people just don't know. There's no comedy culture, right? Um, no one willingly goes out to comedy shows as much. You go to the U.S. and you ask the average person, oh yeah, man, we go. Like, I just went last weekend. I was there last month. Yeah, I'm going to the show next week, right? Oh, I can't wait to see this guy. I can't wait to see this guy. Oh, I love this. Is my favorite comic. You know what I'm saying? They're more into comedy, and it's like the typical person would be like, "Hey guys, what do you want to do this weekend? Go to the bar, go to the game, or a comedy show. Like that's the epitome of US, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel like it translates even better in the US, like the laughs. So that San Francisco was I was having such a good set, it was such a good show. The last 15 minutes there was a blackout, rolling blackouts in San Fran because of the weather or whatever was going on. They have blackouts a lot in California
Mm.
apparently. And like there was no lights, there was no sound. So all of a sudden I was yelling. I was like, "Oh, okay, well, I guess this is what it is, right guys?" And then slowly but surely people started putting their phone flashlights on to
Amazing.
flash
Amazing.
to put a spotlight on me. And then the
Yeah.
owner came rushing on stage with a megaphone so I could finish the rest of my set with a megaphone. I have videos of
That
this
is
too. I can send it to you.
crazy.
Yeah, and I'm on stage now. He's holding the mic because it's like a contraption thing. I'm holding the megaphone. He's holding the receiver. He's pressing on, and I'm just like, all right, guys. So I guess we're finishing this set like this. Everyone started cheering. Everyone's like, yeah, let's go. Because I had like 5, 7 minutes left. And honestly, that was the best ending to the show because that last bit I did, which was my closing bit, crushed with a megaphone. And yeah, man, it was just a great experience. It was definitely one of the highlights of
Now,
my career for sure.
now I see why you want to go back to San Francisco.
Oh,
Yeah, performing
oh
with a
yeah,
megaphone is
100%.
pretty interesting.
I'm
And
gonna
then the
that's the whole set I'm gonna do with the megaphone in San Fran.
So, speaking of performing and touring, one thing you can't live without while on tour.
Oh man, one thing I can't live without on tour. Um, is this me now or
Uh,
me a few years ago?
well, I guess let's go with like now. Like right now, let's say you're gonna go do a U.S. tour hypothetically in 2025. What's one
Hypothetically,
thing,
yeah,
one thing you cannot live without? What are you taking with you, aside from your phone?
yeah. Uh, I need to work out. I
Okay,
need to move my body
good.
some way, shape, or form for sure.
Are you still journaling, man? I remember on our podcast we were talking about mental health, physical health. I hope you're still journaling here and there.
Yeah, I haven't done it as much to be honest, but
Good.
I've been meditating more. I've been working out more, working on my fitness more.
Beautiful.
It's more meditative in that way for me. I go to therapy too, so that helps. Yeah, but
Wonderful.
I don't know. And reading, I've been reading a lot more too, so I feel like there's always waves, right? You always have these phases where you do one thing for a long time, and then you switch back, and then
Absolutely.
But
No,
as long as you're working on the mental health and you're keeping grounded, I think that's all that matters.
mental health is one of those things that you have to keep as strong as possible, and it's so great that you're openly talking about it. Not enough people talk about going to therapy, so kudos to you for putting it out there.
Thank you, man.
Um, Dream collaboration.
Kevin Hart.
Okay, I'm actually
Yeah.
going to go see him next Sunday at the Hard Rock.
Ah, sick, man.
Uh,
I love Kevin Hart, man. I mean, just like not just as a comedian, but as a business owner, as a um, as a whole, as a empire.
yeah,
He has a radio show, a podcast, a team. He tours stand up. He does movies. He everything. Speaking engagements, run clubs. Like I love all that. Like I want to be like that one day.
you will. If that's
Yeah,
what you want, you will. Just follow the
that's
Gary Vee method.
it. Just keep going. That's it.
uh,
Yeah, that's it.
who's funnier, you or your brother?
I mean, yeah, obviously, I'm gonna say me, but to be honest, yeah, he is really funny though. The thing is, we wouldn't be able to work with each other if he wasn't also funny, right? Like he has to understand comedy too, which he does, and he's a huge comedy fan.
Yeah,
Knows a lot about comedians and other uh, uh, comedy formats and everything like that. And yeah, he's funny in his own way for sure. He is pretty funny conversationally. Like sometimes it's like neck and
yeah.
neck. So
So funny behind the camera, not in front.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but being Persian, you're naturally funny, right? So
If you weren't a comedian, what would you be doing?
I'd be a drummer. I'd be a drummer.
Do you play?
Yeah, yeah. I used to drum like all the time in high school. I was in a couple
No way.
bands. I was in a band. Yeah.
Oh, oh
Um,
man.
yeah, I still want to continue it even to like now. I'm definitely gonna go back into it one day.
My main thing is entertainment. So we have DJs and musicians, and like my hope and my dream, and I hope that you're a part of this. I don't mean to put you on the spot here, but it's to do a tour with Iranian comedians where we have DJs, live musicians, comedians, and we fucking rock the world together, And
Wow.
it would be cool if you get also on the drums
Oh
and do your
yeah,
thing too.
you already
So
know.
yeah, we're gonna talk about it
Yeah,
later on, but I
definitely,
was like, let me
definitely.
just drop it here.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I like to end all awesome people conversations with this question, and that is, what are you most proud of as an Iranian?
I am most proud of the kindness and hospitality that Iranians have as a whole, and that my parents have passed down to me, just throughout how they live their lives. I think it's a very like the epitome of Persians of Iranians is kindness and hospitality and being caring, giving, um, all those things, and that's what I'm definitely most proud of, and also being funny more than anything. Persians are just some of the funniest people in general. I've never met an Iranian person who hasn't been remotely funny, right? So
You have endless topics to talk about, endless content.
endless content, and so much good ones coming up soon too. So
Yes, I can't wait to see more of the Iranian babas, the realtors, and
oh yeah, we got
a
some
lot
good
of the
ones.
more words of the week and stuff like that.
Oh
All those
yeah,
things.
some dances with my mom that's
There
coming
we go.
soon too. Yeah,
Yeah. I like your mom's reading the hateful comments.
yeah,
That was
yeah. We got
that
some of that too. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
um
She comes up with what she says on her own. By the way, it's not even me. That's how funny she is. She's hilarious in
uh,
that way. Yeah,
that's too funny, man.
yeah, yeah.
All right. So, what are some other ways that they can find out more about you? Tell people how they can contact you, be a part of your future shows, and anything else you'd like to share with your fans.
Oh man, honestly, I'm everywhere. Obviously, whoever's watching this on here, you can always message me. But if you ever want early access to tickets to any live shows, join my email list or text me. It's in my bio. Click those links, and I always get back to people. And I love interacting with my fans and engaging with people all the time. So yeah, and I also do my own podcast too. So it's on YouTube
That's right.
or Spotify, wherever you want to listen or watch. And yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Awesome, man. Well, Nima, it was a great pleasure, man. I had a great time. Hopefully, you did too. Thank you so much for taking your Saturday afternoon or morning almost with us. Wish you all the best. Rooting for you, man. You're going to keep on shining bright. And as on behalf of many, many, many Iranians, we're very proud of you, man. So keep it
Thank you
going.
so much. Appreciate you guys. Thank
Take
you,
care,
Iman
brother.
Jun, and
خدا
have a
حافظ.
great day.
Or,
We'll stay in touch.
برو Mr. Stupid.
Mr. Super, thank you
سلام
very
برسون
much.
به خانواده.
I
Take care.
mean, you like nuts, Baba? Come on, let's go.
Take care, man. خدا
Take care,
حافظ.
brother.
Bye.
Khudafiz.
All right, guys. Make sure you guys follow Neema Naz if you don't already. Show him some love. He's doing amazing things, and I can't wait to see what he's got coming up in the next few months. Big news coming out for him. If you have not liked or subscribed the YouTube channel that we have at United Conquer, please do that. We try to do as many of these episodes as possible. If you have any recommendations of an awesome Iranian that you feel like should be highlighted and showcased, or just their story to be shared, please drop their profile into my page. We have an amazing team of people: Ida Jun, Negin Jun, Varta Jun, Rana Jun, Orchid Jun. Just a really amazing group of people that helped me behind the scenes to make this program happen, and Jun, of course, and Maz. And so it's a great crew that we have. If did I mention Varta? In case I forgot Varta. But anyways, a lot of people behind the scenes to help out with this little teeny IG live, but it's a lot of work to do. And so if anybody wants to continue seeing the growth of awesome people and making sure that we put a spotlight on awesome Iranians, please make sure to recommend somebody. Thank you very much, guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Much love. Be امید دیدار.